Alright, so I'm going to be doing a demo that we've actually seen in class already, where I combine working with text with layer styles. Before I get started, I want to apologize because the audio on this is not very good. The microphone that I typically use has gone kaplooey. That's the technical term. And so we're relying on just the standard little input microphone that comes with these little Mac laptops. Which is to say, we're relying on something that's not particularly good. Alright? So, you guys have seen this picture before. If you haven't, then I don't know where you've been. So go to the website and pull this photo off and work along with me if you want to. Or work later. I don't know. It's up to you. But anyways, what I want to do is put some text on this football and sort of make it look like it's embedded into the football itself. Now, text is pretty interesting because it functions as kind of a vector image. There are some distinct differences between text and a standard vector image. But the basic thing that you need to get out of this exercise is that it's very hard to apply direct pixel manipulation to text unless you rasterize it, which means you turn it into pixels. Right? But when you do that, you lose a lot of the editing capacity that makes text unique. So the way to affect changes to text is either through a filter or through layer styles, which we're going to work on today. Now, please understand that you can apply layer styles to any layer. It does not have to be a text-based layer, right? Repeat that. You can apply layer styles to any layer. It does not have to be text-based. It does not have to be vector-based. Just happens to be what we're working with right now. So I'm going to get my text tool over here on the side, and I'm going to select impact up at the top and about 100 points to make it nice and big. Let me zoom in so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so here's my contextual menu. There's impact and 100 points. Let me zoom back out. Okay, so I'm just going to go right here, and I'm going to start typing something. Just knew it. I just knew the Saints would win the Super Bowl, even though I'm a Colts fan. Alright, and now what I want to do is actually warp this text. There's a couple of ways that we can do that, but I'm going to choose the simplest way today. Up in the top of on your contextual menu, again, with your text tool still selected, you'll see that there's this button up here. Let me zoom in so you can see it. Wow. See? Create warped text. This doesn't mean we're making psychotic text. We're just making warped text. Zoom back out. I'm going to click this button, and then I'm going to select one of these prefabricated options. I'm going to select Arc Lower. And that bulge is just a little too much for my taste, so I'm going to reduce the curvature just a little bit. I think that'll do nicely. That'll be fine. And then I'm going to hit OK. And up at the top, I'm going to hit the check mark so that I can go ahead and commit the text. Right? So there we go. And now I'm going to select my Move tool over in the toolbar. Right here where it says Move tool, and I'm just going to move that text right about there. That's fine. Alright, so now what I want to do is make that text look like it is embossed into the football itself. The way that I'm going to do that is to go to Layer Styles. Now if you look over here in your Layers palette, alright, so that's over on the right hand side of my screen. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it. Alright, so here's my layers palette, and there's my text layer that I just made. It's nice enough to tell me it's text, and it's nice enough to tell me that it's warped text. Right? So to get a layer styles dialog box, what I'm going to do is make sure that I have that layer active. I know it's active because it's blue. And then I'm going to double click somewhere out in the blue area, out here. And there we go. Alright, so I get this dialog box. Let me cancel out of that and zoom back out. You like those sound effects? I like those sound effects. So I'm going to double click back on this layer just so you guys can see it again. And this is my Layer Styles dialog box. It's kind of wonky, and here's why. Let's say I want an outer glow on this. click, I have an outer glow. But this area over here did not change. And the reason for that is because I didn't select the text itself, right? So if I unclick that and go back to where we were, just back to our blending options, and then I decide that I want an outer glow, I actually need to hit the text itself in order to see options for my outer glow. Alright? So if I decide I also want a color overlay, just clicking the box is not going to bring up the dialog box that I need. I have to go and click the actual text. And now you see that my contextual menu has changed. Right? I'm going to uncheck that because I do not want a color overlay. And I'm going to go back to my outer glow. Now, here you can change all of your options for outer glow if you want to. I'm just going to change mine to about 3 because I just want it to be this nice sort of gold paint look around the edges of this thing. So that's fine. Now what I want to do is actually bevel and emboss this. Now remember, I'm going to go over here and actually click on the text itself so that I change the contextual menu here, right? By default, it is set to inner bevel, which is not what I want, because that's making the text, look here, it's making the text look like it's sitting on top of the football, and that's not what I want. I want it to sort of be embossed into the football. So I'm going to pull down this dialog box here and select Pillow Emboss. And it sort of gives it this nice stitched effect, right? And you can choose if you want it to be a hard sort of chisel, a soft sort of chisel, which looks a little strange to me, or go back to smooth. And smooth is okay, but I think I'm going to change the depth of that. Maybe about 100. And then I want to soften that because it's kind of harsh. So I'm going to soften that up to about, I'm guessing 3 or 4 pixels, right? And you guys can change the size of it too. Whoa, that is a major emboss. We don't want that, all right? But maybe 5, which is where it was. All right, so we'll go there. And then you can even change how you want it embossed. Again, that's reversing it. I actually want it to go up, so it looks like it's stitched into the football. You can change your lighting, right? So if I take this and change my angle, you can see that it affects where the lighting is hitting the emboss. You can also put your angle in digitally right here. I'm going to put that lighting back where it was, roughly where it was, because I can tell by looking at the picture that my light source is coming from this direction, right? So let's move that to right about there. Alright, that's nice and soft. Put that back in there. There we go. And I think for the purposes of this tutorial, that's fine. It's making it look like it's in the football. There are some things that I might change. If you notice, this is kind of harsh around here. And what I might do is adjust the opacity here. You can see some small, subtle differences happening. Maybe here. But you can spend quite a bit of time tweaking this out. And I'm just going to go ahead and commit and say OK to those changes. And then I want to reduce the opacity. You guys know me by now. You know I don't like things usually at 100% opacity because it makes it look like it's just sitting on top. And things don't usually have those crisp edges like that. Now the nice thing about layer styles, look over here in our layers palette, alright? So the nice thing about layer styles is that they are a non-volatile way of editing, which means that we can get rid of them, or we can turn them off. Alright, say I don't like that layer emboss, I can just turn that off so I can see what it looks like without it. But it's still there, so I can turn it back on. Let's decide that I really actually don't want it at all. I can just grab it and drag it into the trash. Alright? Command Z to undo that. But what's nice about it is that it's an effect that I have total control over. So at any time, if I want to change the settings, for example, on that bevel emboss, I'm going to go to the bevel emboss and click on it, and it'll bring my dialog box back up with that particular area highlighted. So my bevel emboss is right there. I'm going to zoom back out a little bit. Alright? So I'm just going to cancel that. But you can change the settings at any time as long as you still have these saved as layer styles. Really, really nice way to work. Layer styles affect everything in a specific layer. Right? That's it. Okay, so this is your tutorial on layer styles and doing a little bit of work with text.